things. I say people, when they buy, a service, right, they're buying somebody else's skill set, somebody else's knowledge. And that's what's there. And when you get into, architectural situations, things like, quantity surveyors, why do you use a quantity surveyor? Counting bricks, right, whatever it is, right? There are certain elements for architects where you have to have an architect that signs it off. Otherwise, they wouldn't spend 7 years training to become an architect. But there are, other elements where, it's not required. You can actually draw plans yourself, right? And as long as you've got all the stuff in the right boxes, then you don't need an architect. But you do it because it's easier. That's what many service providers trade on, is the fact that what they offer makes your life easier. Not that you can't do it, because most people can do most things. These are what they might do. So, the marketing mix. Right product to the right audience. Satisfying customer needs. Increase sales. Go back to what I was saying before. When companies start out, they've identified a market need. They've identified a customer that's got a problem, and they've developed the answer to it. And the thing that happens over time is that if customer needs change, then probably the first thing that you'll actually find out from many organisations is there's an effect on your profitability. Your profits will actually start to fall. If your profits start to fall, there is something wrong with your marketing mix, because something has changed in your marketplace. Your customers are doing something different and you haven't adapted to it. I did a bit of work a few years ago for an engineering firm, and I went to see these guys, and they said their problem was they made process equipment for dairies. And they said, we did this amount of turnover last year, we've done the same turnover this year, but last year we made £800,000 profit, this year we made nothing. So what's changed? And they said, well, we're being very busy. It's just something new. And when you started to look into it, what had happened was that actually their customers had been driving the price down. But it was just a little bit here and a little bit there and whatever. And the price, the small price decreases that they'd taken was actually all their profit, fundamentally. So they lost their profit and they hadn't noticed it. So we said, okay, well, the marketplace that you're in is changing. Right? There's a lot of pressure on that marketplace. You need to get into something else. You need to be doing something different. We need to find some different customers. We need to find a different approach. So I said, so what else do you do? Who else do you supply to? Oh, it doesn't. We just do dairies. I said, I bet you don't. So we sat down. I said, right, okay, let's have a look at your invoices for the past 2 years. Using groups. I opened the book. And here we go. So I said, right, what do these people do? Don't know from Adam. What do they do? Oh, X. All right, so that's not a dairy, is it? Okay, right, good. What do these people do? Right? Y. That's not a dairy, right? And so it went on, right? And we actually found that they actually did stuff in 17 different industries, not just in dairies. Right? So that then gave us something to work with in terms of actually, is there life after? And then worked out a plan to actually, take the business forward. But that happened because these guys have been doing it for years. They've been doing it for whatever it was, like 10, 12 years or something like that. And people forget, right? They become complacent. They lose track of the picture because they get stuck in the day-to-day stuff. And sometimes you've got to, step back and say, hang on, what's changed? And if you're not doing research on a regular basis, then you won't know. And potentially for a lot of companies, it's when it's too late. So let's actually think about, what is a product? What exactly is a product? There you go. Anybody that's done any marketing, like stuff in the past, Philip Kotler, all good stuff, right? Philip Kotler. A product is anything that can be offered to a market for attention, acquisition, use, or consumption that might satisfy a want or need. Okay, let's have a think. Why do we buy a washing machine? So let's take an example. Wash clothes, okay? So why a washing machine? Why don't we just go down to the banks of the Tyne, bit of aerial on the banks of the Tyne, right, It's quicker, okay? All right. So, our washing machine. Okay, so the core benefit or the core service of our washing machine is to clean our clothes, or to help us to clean our clothes. Now, we can nip down to Currys or Comet, and there are zillions of them. And they'll be ranged from, 90 quid to 900. So why are they different? What's different? What have we got? We've got this, this AEG and this Hotpoint and this Bosch and this Zanussi and some Chinese number and whatever else we've got. And they're all there, and they all say they're going to wash our clothes. So why do we buy the AEG one and not the Chinese one?
Sort of things you've got there in your actual product. So what are the different features, perceived quality or actual quality? Does it look right in your kitchen, that kind of thing? So.
Absolutely, right? So these are things. So this is something which is then, we then start to, as marketeers in our business, right? We're thinking, well, what is it, right? We've got one of these things. People aren't buying it, but it washes clothes, right? So why are they buying somebody else's, right? What are we missing? And we find, well, actually, so we go and do a bit of research, right? And somebody says, well, yeah, but yours doesn't do a 30-degree wash, and the Bosch one does. Okay, that's another feature, right? So we'll stick a 30-degree wash on it, right? So we get sales for, extra 10 sales, great. And then we find, okay, well, actually, sales are falling again. Why, what's happening? And people can say, well, actually, the current colour is silver, and it was in the 2000s. The colour of the millennium, I was told by Panasonic at the time. Why are all consumer durables silver? So I said, what happens if anyone wants to buy a black telly? You can't. Right? Yeah, but everyone wants to buy a black telly. No, they don't. So you start to find that we've got to differentiate somehow, right? We've actually got to, so these are in our gift, right? These are variables that we can actually start to work with. And these are things we're having to do because we have these horrible people called competitors, right? And they keep coming, they keep coming behind us, right? And we think, well, and take our customers away. So what can we do? So we start to say, okay, well, we have to add more bits and pieces, right? But the reason that the primary product is this fact that all we actually want to do is to wash clothes. So we then get on and say, okay, well, right, well, we'll offer a range of different styles. We'll offer, different packaging, different features, quality, and then we get into, other things like, well, I like yours, but I can get his on interest-free credit. Well, so I used to be able to get his on interest-free credit. So. What are the payment terms, right? Well, they're going to offer different payment terms. Now, payment terms have got nothing to do with cleaning your clothes, right? But it becomes a part of the attribute of this product that we've got. So we're starting, so life gets very complicated. And in, consumer societies, it does, life gets very complicated for producers. So we start getting into, well, we'll give you extended credit. We're going to guarantee the thing for 5 years, right? And actually, if it does break down in the 5 years, we'll have some nice guys in sparkly suits will come along and fix it for you, right? And it won't cost you anything. We'll come and deliver it, right? We'll take your old one away. All of those things have actually got nothing to do with cleaning clothes, but they all have become, over a period of time, part of our overall product. So it is it's an interesting time. And as we do something, our competitors will do something. It's an evolving process. It's a treadmill in many respects. We can actually get, probably a little bit later on in the process, but we can actually start to think about, well, how do we sit in a market in terms of our competitive position? And it's kind of slightly fictitious, but it's there to try and just to illustrate the point. So we talk about, mobile computing, right? And we think, well, different companies, they sit in the market at different places. They're all actually trying to find different customers who've got different needs, right? And we're trying to, focus on these things. So we're getting to, what are these points of differentiation that exist? And, what are people actually going to buy into? And if you heard one of the ladies from Sage and Barbara earlier on, it's, these are, what else does somebody buy into? Because once you get over and above the actual basic need for the product, you're buying into something else. It's like Sage. There are other, it should be on the bottom of the commercial, there are other software packages, right, for accountancy software packages, other than Sage. But, people are buying into something. So here, you could say, if we sat down and thought about, how different computing companies actually position themselves. Well, Sony probably would still like to see themselves up at the top. Toshiba have changed quite a bit over the past 10 years. Once upon a time, they saw themselves as the prima donnas of mobile computing. But they have broadened their range quite substantially, right? And sort of brought it down in price, reduced the features on some things to try to attract to get into bigger marketplaces. So they have